So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 7 costly mistakes to avoid as an entrepreneur when you're starting a business. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Prithvi and I'm the founder and managing director of a healthcare investment company based in UAE. And in the last few years, I have managed to negotiate and put myself in a position to negotiate a $3.5 million deal, a $10 million deal, a $25 million deal, a $120 million deal, and a $140 million deal. I also am in a business partnership with some of the most high-profile executives in the whole country, including billion-dollar company CEOs, okay, and individuals, lawyers who have negotiated and executed $13 billion transactions, which was one of the largest in the UAE. And also I have got top finance experts, top accounting experts, and top healthcare professionals with 30+ years of experience advising me in my company. And I'm just 29 years old and I have not completed even college. I went straight into business and I have had several business ventures that started up and failed, and I learned a lot from every single one of them, and I'm going to be sharing with you some insights around that. So the first mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs make, and this is where the whole you set yourself up for failure with this mistake, and the mistake number 1 is thinking too small. Okay, if you want, for some reason there is this number lingering in the air in the entrepreneurship world, is the $1 million mark, right? I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire, and you spend 10-15 years trying to be a millionaire, but once you get to $1 million, you'll realize it's not a lot of money, and it can get exhausted in 1 or 2 years time, very easily, in fact. So and a lot of the people who are following my channel are millionaires, and they know what I'm talking about. Okay, so so you don't want to think too small, because there are a couple of reasons for that. It's not just for your personal benefit, but people, really high profile individuals, do not want to associate with a company that's going to make enough money that's just going to be enough for one person. Okay, if it's $1 million idea, then it's just for one person. That money is good for one person. So it will be very challenging for you to attract the right business partners with the right mind, the right level of experience, the right level of seniority, with the right level of contacts, if right from the beginning your idea itself is $1 million. Okay, so you want to think big, because when something is too big, something is too magnificent, and the numbers are big, it attracts attention and it attracts talent, because people are willing to take a little bit of a risk for $50 million, $100 million, $500 million, $1 billion. People are willing to put themselves on the line for that kind of business venture, because time is finite, and life is short, and if you are working on something, it better be big. And this is the same philosophy many people operate from. A big portion of a small business is not good enough, but a small portion of a very big business is still good for a person. So it's important that you think big, and that you have big dreams and big visions and big goals for your companies. Whatever number you have in your mind, you should put a 10x or a 100x on it, and that should be your goal. And then the second mistake people make is they pick the wrong industry. So once you have set up a big goal for yourself of making $1 billion, $10 billion, or creating a company that reaches $100 billion valuation, I'm talking about those types of goals, then the next step is to choose an industry where that kind of growth is even possible and feasible. Because it's not just about creating a vision and a goal, it has to be feasible, it has to be doable. So it has to come from an industry that has got trillions and trillions of dollars. It's less likely for you to make $1 billion in an industry that has in total $10 billion. Not to say it cannot happen, you can be the dominant player, but it's less likely. So you want to pick an industry which has a lot of action and it's going to go around, it's going to be there around for a long time. Again, healthcare is one of them. You've got real estate is another one. You've got technology is another one. These are very big sectors. So you can get into a sector based on your goal, based on your vision, choosing an industry. I have often found that people choose the industry not based on financial ratios and financial basis. They pick an industry based on what they like and what them and their friend circle like, and that can get you in trouble because you position yourself in the wrong industry and you will be draining a lot of time, and time is one of the most valuable assets. So you want to make sure that you don't have too many failures early on. A lot of that mess can be avoided if you're just positioned in the right industry. If you position in the wrong industry, you can still make money, but you have to work really, really hard, and you gotta outperform everybody, and then you'll make some money. So why fight an uphill battle when you can choose an industry which already has action and make money from that, and then do what you want to do for your passion and for your emotions. Okay. So then that's the second mistake I've seen people making is choice of industry. They choose it based on what's familiar. They choose it based on what they like, and it doesn't work out very well because, and when it doesn't work out, they fall out of love from it. For example, I was in the yoga industry and I started to I hated yoga. Then I started to practice yoga. I enjoyed it, and then I was like, you know what, I can do this all day. And then when I entered into it and I didn't make any money from it, I quickly fell out of love from it. And I don't practice yoga anymore. Okay. So you can fall in love and out of love based on how successful you have been in those industries. Okay. So success, passion will come with success. So that's a side note. The mistake number 3, I would say, would be choosing a wrong business model. By that, I mean a couple of things. One of the things that I see people making is they want to be unique, right? Everybody wants to be unique. I want to be unique. You want to be unique. We all want to innovate. We all want to be like Albert Einstein or Oppenheimer, inventing atomic bombs. But it's much better that when you're beginning, not to innovate, but to go into a sector or go into find a business model that has worked. Maybe it has worked in other parts of the world. Maybe it has worked for a large group of people. A lot of people have become successful doing that, and you're much safer in just modeling them and even copying them in some cases, as long as it's within the bounds of the law. Okay. For example, people have been getting into real estate for ages. People have been buying businesses for ages. It's not something that was invented yesterday. It has been around for a long, long period of time. And it's a much more predictable way of being successful rather than, for example, starting a unique restaurant with, some technology and some unique concept, which can work. I'm not saying that it cannot work, or I'm against innovation or something, but I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of risk. I'm just presenting this information from the standpoint of risk. And risk is a big factor. You would be dedicating time and resources into a certain direction. You want to assess what level of risk you would be taking. It's very glorious at the beginning, but you want to make sure that you have an intention to win and become successful, So you got to look at it from a standpoint of risk also. I'm a big believer in passion. I'm a big believer in innovation. I'm a big believer in art and talent. But when it comes to business, I got to keep my head on the ground, and I would recommend you to do the same, because it's not just about you. Somebody else would be financing your dream, and you want to make sure that they get the money back with a return. Okay, so with that said, industry is very important, and the business model is extremely important. So you don't want to innovate, you want to do what's working, and you want to model and copy, and your odds are going to be very, very high for success, especially if you have discovered a system that works. And there are many systems out there. It's not just buying businesses or buying real estate. There are many other systems also that you can use to get rich, depending on your goals. I have found mergers and acquisitions to be a business model that can make the really big money. And it's something that I have seen a lot of people do. It's something I have seen it with my own eyes happening. I have seen the transaction sizes, and I can make the numbers in my mind that it's huge. So it's a no-brainer for me. But you decide what you want to do. The other thing, what is fourth, I think now we are on number 4, is I would say within the business model, it would be margins. You want profit margins to be big. When you're beginning, things can go wrong, and you're not grounded in data. You're still collecting data, you're still figuring things out, and it's a trial and error phase. So if you get into an industry that has an 8% margin, that's not a lot of wiggle room for you to operate, and for you to pay yourself well and be motivated to keep working, and then also use some of that capital to re-inject. When you have a very small margin, look, all deals end up in a piece of paper and a pen. It doesn't matter if it's a $5, $10, $20, $100, $100 million, it all ends up on a piece of paper. So, and it all ends up with a sale, right? So would you rather do a $10 sale, or would you rather do a $10 million sale? You pick the choice. And how many of them do you have to do and do you want to do a $10 million, do you want to do a $10 sale which has like a 10% margin on it, or would you like to do a $10 million deal which has like 20%, 30% margin? So margin and transaction size is very important. And we are still on mistake number 3 is the business model. You want to make sure it has big margin and big transaction sizes. Okay, and then you can make a lot of money. It doesn't have to be 10 million. I'm just giving you an example, a range. It's better as big as possible, the transaction size and margin as big as possible, so that you can make money at a faster and bigger rate with putting in minimum amount of time. Because life is just a management of time. I think we need to allocate resources in a direction which can provide us the most amount of return. And it will happen 2 ways. The bigger the transaction size and the bigger the margin, the more money you will make. It's as simple as that. And if you just follow that rule of thumb, you will see that there are only certain types of business models that allow it, and that gives you the opportunity to choose from only a few things. You can pick one, what you want to do, which has been working, which has big margins and big transaction size. Okay, now point number 4 is not picking the right business partners. Okay, this is something that I have seen happen with a lot of people, that they pick someone that are just like them, that have the same level of experience, same level of expertise, same level of resources, right? Because whatever resource level we are at, we tend to hang around those circles, right? We don't, we may go out of our way to network with high status people, but we're not around them all the time. We're around our friends all the time, and whatever business idea we have, we just want to get our friends involved. And it's not the right way if that friend is especially have the same level of resources, expertise and experience. There is really no added value to the project. When you want to pick the business partners, and once you have created a big vision for yourself, a big goal, that goal should decide, not you. Okay, it cannot be a personal decision. That goal should decide who will be part of the team. It cannot come from a personal, emotional standpoint. Oh, I like this person, I think that person is going to be good. I think the goal, the vision should decide what positions, what expertise, what level of experience of people should be part of the project. Okay, and that's extremely important. So you want people who can fill in the gaps that you have, right? Maybe it's a lack of experience. Maybe you can find someone who has a lot of contacts, financial contacts, who can bring in investors, who have credibility with those investors. It's not just enough to have contacts with the investors and bad credibility. No, you want contacts and good credibility and a standing, a proper standing in the business arena. For example, one of my partners was a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, and he's connected with government top members of the royal family, and he has a good credibility with them. So that's one of the examples that, and you can find them, these days. It doesn't always have to come from your friend circle, your business partners. You can go on LinkedIn, you can find these people, you can pitch them, and you can get them to be in business partnerships with you. It's not something that is not possible in today's time. Okay. Mistake number 5, I would say, not cutting out people soon. Okay, not cutting out toxic people, not getting rid of people. Every relationship costs time, and every relationship costs energy. So if they just take time and energy from you and they don't give you anything back, then that's a toxic relationship. I would define that as a toxic relationship. If they take your time and they don't give anything back to you, that's a toxic relationship, because you can't get your time back. So you want to make sure that you have relationships which are mutually beneficial, which add each other value, and more importantly, it adds value to your project. And sometimes there are experienced individuals also, they get into the project, but they come with an intention to cut you out. Okay, so you want to get rid of those people. You want to identify those people and get rid of them. You don't have to fall in love with people so soon that you let them exploit you. Okay, so that's another mistake that I have seen, that we let our family members exploit us in the name of love. We let our friends exploit us in the name of love. We let the women in our life exploit us, or a man in our life exploit us in the name of love. Okay, so you don't want that. You want to make sure you have healthy boundaries and you cut people out who start exploiting you. So mistake number 6 would be to only think from your own money. Okay, so you can raise capital in business. It's not always wise to think from the standpoint of, okay, I got $10,000, I got $20,000, how do I start a business? You don't have $10,000, you've got billions of dollars available in this world that you can gain access to if you have the right team, if you have the right business model, if you have the right industry. So you do not have to just rely on what's in your bank. You got to treat what's there out in the world as an available resource. We always consider, we live in this scarcity that what's in our bank account is all that there is. And it's an illusion. It's not the case. You have the whole world open up for you, all these financial institutions that you can raise money from, all the investors that you can raise money from. So don't hold your idea back, expand it, make it big, and attract capital. So that's mistake number 6, would be to just think from a standpoint of, what do I have, the resources I have, and how do I create a business model from that? So you want to leverage other people's capital and capital that's out there in the world, and there is a ton of it. Trillions and trillions of dollars of it. So you do not have to limit yourself just thinking about the money, little money that you have. I would say just use that money for your personal expenses. Don't leverage it in business at the beginning. So mistake number 7 is not leveraging other people's experience. The limitations, we have these limitations, right? We as individuals have limitations. There's no doubt about that. We may not have experience, we may not have capital, we may not have right information, but you can always find someone who has that thing, and you can negotiate and create a value proposition where you can leverage their experience, their capital. So the other mistake I see is not leveraging other people's experience, or holding yourself back because you don't have experience, right? Well, there is ton of experience available in the world also, just like money, and ton of experienced people and ton of expertise is available in the world. Again, you don't want to just look at it from a standpoint of what you have in your pocket or what you have in your CV or what you have in your degree. Okay, you can use other people's expertise and experience to benefit the project that will also in turn benefit them. Again, it comes down to the first principle is that you want to think big. If you have a big vision, then you can bring these experts on your team and they will be part of your venture. But if you have a small $1 million idea, people are not going to be interested. Okay, it's too small for anybody to get involved, and there are too many risks anyway. Why would anybody take those risks to make 50% of $1 million? It's not attractive, and put in all this time to do that. So you want to think big, you want to have right industry, right business model, you want to cut out toxic people, you want to leverage other people's capital, you want to leverage other people's experience, and you want to cut out the toxic people early on from your life. So that's the lesson here, and you know, those are the major 7 mistakes that I've seen people make at a very fundamental level, which is why things go bad. All right, so if you like the video, hit that thumbs up button and I'll talk to you soon.